Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back with another episode of the Stanley Parable. First things first, let me ask everybody to turn off any ad blockers, help me make a career. Last episode, we went through an ending that determined that we were insane, running around, hallucinating this whole game, and we restarted from there. So, again, not a really great uh, ending for Stanley. None of them have been better than the first one, the one where we just listened to. And the game seems to be keep evolving every time. Every time the phrasing is changing just a little bit, the the events are changing just a little bit. So begin the game again is not really like deleting all the save files. It's just starting the game again with some new things different, which is very sneaky. Um, Most video games you would not recognize that at all because you'd only play the game once through, and most players would only play it once or twice through and not recognize it. But with the Stanley Parable, since we hit the ending so fast, it is definitely recognizable. Um, Go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and let's begin the game. Alright, we are still employee 427. I keep checking. Uh, See what he says this time.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Was that always down there? G81F1? We got to hear a song last
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
So, when we got the very first ending, there was this escape path. I think I want to go find out what the escape path was all about. Let's see. No awaiting input over here. No awaiting input over here. Okay. I hate Mondays. You know, I think I understand I hate Mondays. I understood it more as a child and a fan of Garfield than I did as a person who
When Stanley came
had
to a
work.
set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
So we're gonna follow instructions for once, for a little while at least. I guess a lot of that has to do with a lot of my jobs were not Monday through Friday jobs. So I didn't really have
Yet there was not a
consistent
single person
Monday.
here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Is this the same table? Or did the table change? It's hard to tell. I think all of these signs are the same. Everyone is unique, you most of all. Okay. He really doesn't want us in the broom closet anymore. It has been boarded up. Alright, so here we go.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked
8245,
upstairs to
I
his
believe,
boss's
is the
office.
code. Let's try and enter that. I want to enter it. Ooh, executive washroom. Nice. This was unlocked. Wasn't locked. It was locked before. Money in the morning, money in the evening, money for breakfast, money crisp. Extreme bathrooms time. Oh, come on. I'm really disappointed it doesn't make a flushing sound. This is nice. It's a little wasteful to have such a small sink in a thing, and kind of silly to have hardwood floors or wood floors in the bathroom. Consistent thing about video games: no mirrors, because the rendering of reflections takes a lot of CPU processing. I can't get up here and like jump through the window. What happens if I just crouch like this? Nothing. Okay. So we've seen the bathroom. So I think it's 8245 is the code. Oh, awaiting input. Input received. So we got 3 of them filled out now. That wasn't unlocked before. Well, a picture of a panda with a gun to its head. Business strategy. Well, let's take the elevator. See where it goes. What does this say? Well, I was gonna take the other way, but now I want to know where this elevator goes. We had an elevator in the demo. We haven't seen one in the game. Well, not like this. I love the elevator music. Don't get to hear it much. Don't go up and down elevators that often. Do they even really play elevator music anymore? Last time I heard they had like radio stations special for a lot of elevators. That just advertising in the top 100 songs. Did I just hear somebody talk? I'm trying to be real quiet here if somebody's saying something. Yeah, somebody just sung along, not me. This is creepy. Okay, that was really, really creepy, and it didn't take us anywhere. I can clearly hear somebody singing. Well, is this gonna go somewhere, or is it just a creepy elevator that plays music and has somebody singing? I hope you can hear this. Is this the ultimate confusion? It's just gonna sit here forever? not a time on this. And it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. It really doesn't. So I think we have to call this the end of it. Because how long can we say here? 20 minutes listening to the elevator music? Listening to all these sounds? Does it go anywhere? I gotta call it. The elevator went nowhere. That is weird. What was it? 8245? We're back
Stepping
to this
into
room.
his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
We're getting all the music today.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
2845. Got it wrong. Here we go. We want to see what this escape thing is. Notice, nowhere else in the game is there this loading section. And I don't believe it really needs it. But if they really didn't need the loading, they should have had it just say loading and then like in 1 second always load. And it kind of does that. So we've been thoroughly confused by an elevator that goes nowhere. And frustrated by an
Stanley
elevator.
walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Now I do want to eventually go see what happens when I turn the mind control facility on, but I think I'll save that for later. I want to see what this escape is.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
What? How do you know?
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Yeah, like I'm gonna listen to you.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
I suppose I am. Okay, that's a little scary looking. Alright, we found another loading section. Seems odd.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Okay. So now we got a different narrator. And it didn't help. It didn't kill me. The Stanley Parable.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Let's see. Okay, so that is can't. What happens if I walk backwards? Can I get out of this room, or have I been locked into an internal blackness? I think I've been locked into an internal black room. So forward we have to go. I think parables are supposed to have morals to the story. None of these have really had morals. Alright, this looks nice.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
The office. Button sounds. A selection of sounds used throughout the game when buttons are pressed. Each sound is a mixture of keyboard strokes and synthesized tones. That only goes up to 5. Let's see. The 2 doors. A set of 2 doors was the very first concrete piece of the Stanley Principle design. Once the room was created, the rest of the game emerged as an extension of it, an exploration of the contradictions this room posed. Alright, so this looks like my office. Office layout. The blueprint shows the office from the beginning of the game. The path from Stanley's office to the 2 doors was the first part of the game that was built. Sections had been added and altered throughout development through the core, though the core layout remains almost identical to the first iteration. Nature paintings. Is there anything back here? Nope. Stanley's computer. So now we're in like some kind of museum of the game. Corridor. The placing of this opening section was important to get right. The corridor has been moved and altered to make sure the player reaches the 2 doors in a good time. Filing cabinets. Office computers. Solitaire. Didn't see a solitaire. Stanley Parable credits. Okay. So we're in some kind of really nice white museum. And we have 2 doors again. 2 choices. go to the right, since the right is usually the side quests. What is this? Office clock. Still telling the same time. Boss's office. Screens from the development of the boss's office. Well, we've seen the one in the middle. What's over here? Nice section. Let's go up here first. Freedom ending. This was the very first incarnation of the freedom ending in the game's alpha. Oh, we're probably gonna spoil some things, I would bet. Coming to this one, I've probably done you a disservice. Oh well. Countdown desk. One of the desks from the early versions of the countdown ending. I don't think we've seen a countdown ending yet. Monitor room elevator. For a time, the elevator in the monitor room could go up or down with freedom above or the countdown below. We abandoned this when players found it too difficult to remember what was up and what was down, placing the two endings together at the same time. Countdown room, an early version of the countdown room. Exit. What's this? Freedom ending. This is the freedom ending as it existed in the beta. Nice lights. Zending model. The Zending went through many iterations. This room represents the fourth version of the ending. And we thought it was complete, but decided to abandon and change it again shortly before launch. What's the Zending? Zending. This is a screenshot that depicts the early version of the ending known as the Zending, which is eventually cut and merged into another part of the game. Okay. Zending levers. These levers were originally part of the Zending. The player would pull a lever and the narrator would describe what color lever they had pulled. The game is now paused. Begin the game again. Resume the game. Options. Return the menu. Escape menu. For a long time we had an ending that could only end when the player restarted from the escape menu. Unfortunately, very few players realized this was what they were supposed to do, which was frustrating for everyone. This layout seems very strange. Trailers. We ran 4 major teaser trailers over the course of the game's development, each meant to convey something about the spirit of the game. This was the first one released on May 2012. It features a series of broken rooms and the voice of the narrator informing viewers that he is preparing a new version of the Stanley Parable. You could probably go find the trailers. It's not like he's speaking. Anyways. Wouldn't make a lot of sense. The apartment timer. Haven't gotten there. This is really about the worst ending I could have picked. The cargo lift. The cargo lift. I guess I have to stick with it, don't I? I mean, I can't just go the meeting room. Option 1. Option 2. Option 3. Option 4. Some of these lights are out. The office. More endings, fewer endings, more narrators, fewer narrators, less Stanley, more Stanley. Warzone? Wait a minute. Early in development, we designed an ending where Stanley would end up in a battlefield fighting aliens. The action game would become sentient and would wage war against the narrator. We shortly realized, after starting to build it, it was far too jokey and on the nose for the tone of the game. Plus, some people interpreted it as making fun of the people who like shooters, which was not our intention. Green light. We submitted the Stanley Parable to green light. Alright. 433461. Copy machine. Maintenance room. Is this gonna take us back? Alright, so I think we've almost seen everything. This is a big area. Narrator emails. Are you a rock? So email sent to the narrator. The lounge. Let's see. This is really far too big of a Stanley's office. From left to right is the evolution of Stanley's office. Alright. Stanley's office. Stanley's office. Stanley's office. Not a big change. I think more games should put museums in their games, but it should be probably a little bit more apparent when you're gonna get to them. Because I've just very dumbly walked into this whole section of this game and did not realize it was going to be spoiler-tastic as much as it is. I don't think it spoiled everything. Employee lounge, underground. What's this?
Oh, I don't know. How about they're throwing a surprise party for him for all his button pushing.
Kevan Brighting, the voice of the narrator, recorded dialogue for the entire game roughly 3 separate times over 2 years of development. These are clips from early takes that were not used in the final game. I can barely hear him. I can just barely hear anything on it. More of those sharp edges. What causes sharp edges? It's when the in-game renderer that takes the graphics and automatically makes the edge detection does too good of a job. Like this square here should be inset a little bit, quite a lot, so you couldn't really get stuck on it at all. You should just be able to technically walk right through it and just not realize it. Or it should just nudge you a little bit out of the way, as someone might naturally do if they walked into something. They would just naturally nudge themselves around it. Anywho, I guess let's go to the exit. That didn't spoil a lot, but boy was this not the right ending to pick.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Okay. So I have a on-off switch that says the Stanley Parable. So let's just turn it off.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time...
That was weird. So they just want you to quit the game, basically. Another ending that's saying just turn off the game. Quit playing video games. Take control of your life. And I refuse. As a video gamer, I have a moral code to continue to allow my life to be controlled by others. And here we are. I'm not seeing a mouse. We're sitting in the dark. I think we're going to have to restart again. Or I could quit to the menu. Or I could restart. Or I could quit to the menu. You know, this has put me in a bit of a quandary, really. Because something tells me if I quit to the menu, I might actually do something different. Get something, achieve something. But if I begin the game again, I can continue playing. I'm also a little afraid if I quit to the menu that none of this will be saved. So we might have slightly different setup going along from this point further. If it's one thing video games has taught me, is always do the risky thing because there really is no risk. So always jump right into a firefight because at the worst you're just going to start the game over again. So I'm going to do the risky thing and quit to menu. And that doesn't really do anything, apparently. One thing we can point out in the menu is that there is an achievement here that we can enable. And when you enable it, if Steam Achievements was enabled and turned on, you would see you would have unlocked an achievement right then and there. I am still quite a bit of an achievement fan, overzealous fan, you might say. So I think that's pretty cool. And then we have saves where you could actually save the game by pushing a key. Let's see, what are the keys to save the game? A lot of these aren't even mapped. Doesn't even say. I know somewhere in there there's a button. So we could go to credits. Let's see what that is. We'll look at the credits here. Sounds like it's just going to be music in the credits. Anyways, I guess now is as good a time as any to call that an end. Probably the wrong end. I am still very confused about what the right end and the wrong ends to do and what order would be the correct move, if any of that makes any sense. Um, it seems like none of them are really that connected, but that museum one was pretty connected. If we hadn't done any of the other endings, it would have spoiled quite a few things. But whatever, I guess it really doesn't matter too much. I wish there was a definitive guide out there that says do this ending, this ending, this ending. But I can't even think in my head what that would be. So next episode we will have to figure out what if we lost anything in our progress. I don't think we really will. I think we'll be able to get the other endings just fine. I still am following my map, scratching off each ending as we do it. So I know we've still got some. And that's the credit. And that's the end of this episode. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of the video. I am going to quit out of the game entirely since I'm already halfway out, just to see if that changes anything or does anything when we start it up again. But if you want to support me from fan funding to get back to my ending and wrap up, click on my name Rydo. That'll take you to my main YouTube page. On the right there's a blue button that says support this channel. If you want to follow me on Twitter or Google Plus or Steam or Battle.net, all that information is down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.